welcome back to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about our class Communication 101. I'm calling it a class because of the dorky title my dad gave it. So before we went on the break, the last thing we talked about was being grateful, but I wanted to go ahead and get through the rest of your list.
Yeah, so if you're just joining us, what we're talking about is how to be effective in your communication. And in communication, there's always a talker, right? And a sharer and a listener. And today we're talking about listening, how to be more effective in your ability to listen and what does it take. And we're looking at some of the come from, not so much the doingness, even though I have some of it and I'll go over it a little bit later, but I'm talking about more of who you need to be for the other person. As a parent, your kids need you to be a certain way. They need you to learn how to access that part of you. They need you to learn and discover and grow into becoming that kind of person that they need for them, because it's just what they need. They just need you to be a certain way, show up a certain way so that they can figure out who they are and make sense of things. And if you're unconscious and don't realize that, you're missing the boat, because now they're 30, 40-year-olds still searching and yearning for this inadequacy that they could have learned and discovered under your watch, in your home, in your family. So this is one of the next bullet points I wrote down is listen from a place of healing. Decide you're a healer. Decide with your energy, your calmness, your love, your ability to listen, that you can actually heal people. I feel like sometimes some of the biggest breakthroughs happen in a lot of my coaching sessions comes when I'm just listening. Some people don't either get acknowledged or validated or heard in their own homes, that they, in a coaching session, they want to spend their whole hour with me just verbally vomiting on me. They just want to just get it all out. And sometimes I feel like I'm not creating value for them. And sometimes that towards the, so let's say I got a client for the first time and they come in and they're just like, I got to tell you this and I got to tell you that and I got to make sure you know this. And a lot of times I feel bad, because I'm like, who's in your life that's not giving you an open, free space to just let stuff out, to vent, to clear out, to flush out some of the stuff that you're holding on to. And then sometimes I feel like at the last of if they've taken up the whole 45 minutes of just venting and talking, sometimes I feel like guilty, like I got to stop you because I want to do some work and give you some added value, because I feel like sometimes listening's not enough. And a lot of times they'll tell me, no, just having you listen to me and allow me to be heard and being that silent voice for me, or that space to hear myself talk, is valuable beyond measure. And a lot of times I got to trust that. So I got to trust that my clients are telling me that my listening ability is valuable. And a lot of times it's valuable because you're allowing that person to be heard, and that's a healing component. So listen from a place of being a healer. You're healing with your listening. Use your love in your heart to transfer that healingness into your facial expressions, into your body posture, and even physical comfort, like grabbing someone's hand if they're having a hard time, or putting your hand on your son's shoulder as he's sharing something that's tough. So it's not. You want to dig down deep and find that healing part of you, from that compassionate place, but also learn how to transfer it to some kind of an expression.
Yeah, I think it kind of, this bullet point kind of goes back to our last one before the break about being grateful. I think it's such an honor and such an experience to be sitting there with somebody who will be talking. Like, I've had strangers just talk to me for like 15 minutes, and I'm just sitting there like at the car wash, and then all of a sudden they start crying or they start getting emotional, and I'm like, in my head I'm like, oh, what have I done that made this space this way? But it really is such an honor to have somebody open up and I know that I'm doing some type of healing for them, just by sitting there.
And I hope you know that it really is nothing that you're doing. It's more of who you're being. It's more that you've developed different ways of being that you can access, that when someone's standing in front of you, this powerful energy that's transparent, that you can't see, but somehow the spirit feels it, so it just trusts. And then someone's wall comes down, and then now they're opening up and they're sharing. Have you ever noticed that when you go on a plane and you sit down to a stranger, all of a sudden you turn to them and you just, all of a sudden you hear these conversations are like, you don't know this person and you've shared your whole life story with them. It's almost like we become therapists on the plane. I don't know what it is, but the plane is like a symbol, right? These airline seats is a symbol for, oh, I can trust you because we're in this tight, confined area. I can't go nowhere. So what other option do I have other than just close my eyes and ignore you and block you out, or turn to you and start a conversation and just trust you enough to open myself up and just share things that I probably don't even share with my husband or my kids. And so it's a moment of you just deciding that you have a gift to heal other people, and it comes through just a compassionate, loving space of being a great listener. The next thing is listen from being vulnerable. Now, when people hear the word vulnerable, people want to run for the hills, because when we're younger, we're taught that being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. Sharing your emotions or letting your walls down. God forbid I allow myself to be vulnerable. Somebody can take that and hurt me with it. They can use it against me if I show them that I do have a soft side. So a lot of parents, they don't show their vulnerability side because of the fear of allowing themselves to be seen or interpreted by their kids as a sign of weakness. And so as parents, a lot of times we try to act like we know it all or we have it all under control, and we put these walls up and these masks, and we live in a facade that everything's okay. When your kids know that you're not. That's the crazy thing about it. Like, you know when something's not right. You feel it. You're a spiritual being, so you feel that. So when I try to pretend or act like everything's okay, hey, Dad, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And inside you're going, no, you're not. Don't lie to me. Or more importantly, don't lie to yourself. Be honest with yourself and allow yourself to be vulnerable. So listen from a vulnerable place, letting your walls down, surrendering the self-protection that you have, right? Our ego puts up. And then any other fears that could be getting in the way of allowing you to be the mirror for the other person so that they can hear what they need to hear to learn.
Yeah, one thing that I always consider when I'm, in a mood or I'm being a brat and I don't want to talk to people. And one of the things I always consider is that, because I always say, I'm fine. But obviously somebody can tell.
That should be your motto. I'm fine.
It is. But, obviously people can tell, or else they wouldn't ask. And obviously there's something going on with me that wants somebody to ask or wants somebody to know, or else I wouldn't make it so obvious.
Yeah, but then here's the thing is that when it's so obvious and someone does come to you loving and vulnerable and says, how can I help you? Then you push them away.
I'm not done with my story, but yes. So, like I was saying, one of the things that I have to consider is my body or my energy is exerting something out to the universe, out to the people who are around me, who love and care about me, so that they can come ask me, so that they can heal me, so that they can help me. And my ego or my frustration or my stubbornness gets in the way a lot of the times and pushes people out because I think I can handle it myself. And let's say even if it was 50%, 80%, 90% of the time, let's say I can handle it myself, I don't handle it as fast as I could if somebody else were to. And I think I know that. Well, I'm telling on myself, I know that. I know that if I were to have a conversation and get it off of my chest, I would be off it in 5 or 10 minutes. But sometimes I want to handle it myself, and it's 3 hours, 4 hours of me sitting there in this yuck. Like, I'll figure it out myself.
Yeah, and a lot of times, sometimes those people, when they see that, they just want to be a part of your life. Like when you're struggling with something, and if I notice that, or I think I notice it, and I come over, and then it's validated with, I'm fine, Dad, leave me alone. And then I know. And then now I'm struggling with, okay, do I give up or not give up? Because I know you can push me away, but you're not really pushing me away because you don't want me to be there. You're pushing me away because you have to face now being willing to let me support you, or even just be a great listener for you. And so sometimes I struggle with going, all right, do I push this too far where I make her mad, or do I be a strong enough, invitation to where I learn where to just go, okay, I get it. She needs her time or space, and then walk away. And it's a dance. It's a fine dance that we got to learn. So allow yourself to be vulnerable. Practice that. Vulnerability is something that you really got to work really hard on and be diligent. The other place is listen from being trusting. You gotta learn how to trust and believe. So being trusting and believing in other people. What I mean by that, listening from a place of being trusting and believing that other people and what they share, that they're capable and competent enough as a human being to handle their own situations, to solve their own problems. So as you're coming to me in your frustration, I have to be operating from a place of trusting and believing that you're a powerful human being and that you can handle all your circumstances, you can overcome all your own challenges and figure out your own solutions. If I see you like this lost, broken little girl that doesn't know how to handle her circumstances, then I'm going to come from a place of trying to rescue you or handle it for you or give you the advice. But if I'm coming from a place of believing that you're competent and that you're a champion and it's in there somewhere, then I don't have to try to fix anything. I could just be a great listener, and it frees me up to be able to be that kind of a gift for you in that moment.
I really like that you said that, because I, in my experience, I know that when I vent or I complain about things and problems that I can probably solve, I just need the time to get it out and say it all. So sometimes when people offered me advice, I get offended. Sometimes I'm like, what, you think I can't handle it? You think that I can't figure this out? So it would be nice to have somebody to, trust me and trust that I'm going through a process and that I'm going to figure it out, that they don't have to come in and save me.
Yeah, and I think that if you operate from people, some of the deciding that you're a champion and realizing that you're capable and competent is having the other person also believe that first, and then give you the space to discover it for yourself, and then just plant a little seed and say, well, I'm here if you need me, and then walk away. And as you're walking away, really grinding your teeth, you got to be telling yourself, she can handle it. She's got it. I believe in her. I've seen her greatness before, or I believe in her greatness. And so it takes a deep level of trust to believe that your kids can handle their own life. And you know what? Trust me, they can. They just need you to stand ready to assist. That's it. Just stand ready to assist when they say, Mom, help. I need, or they're going to say it in a different way. It's going to be a little bit of a different way to say it that's not normal. It's not usual. So you got to really be present in the moment and be looking for some of those warning signs.
Yeah, and it's also very important. I feel like this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyways. It's really important to not be an I told you so afterwards, and know that if you do, and if you have that strong urge to do it and you do it anyways, just know that they probably won't come back again.
Yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you go to the I told you so's. That is a big no-no. It's a big ego game that, ego comes up to be right. It wants to say I told you so, and you do that with your kids, and you're going to have to work double time. You're going to have to really dig down deep and go a whole nother level of trying to gain that trust back. The next thing I wrote down is be willing to listen from being open-minded. Nothing kills a person that wants to share to a closed-minded person. You have to really be open-minded. Open-minded to what? You got to be open-minded to all possibilities. Open-minded means you're optimistic that all problems and all issues have solutions. Not just some of them, but all of them. That all things are possible, and that we live in a world of unlimited possibilities. Like, you literally have to subscribe to that channel called We Live in a World of Unlimited Possibilities, and there is no problem that cannot be solved. I might not know the answer and you might not know it, but somebody does. Or we can come to that conclusion or find it, maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow, or with some new insight, or with some new perspectives. But if you're closed-minded and you're listening from being closed-minded, you're wondering why more people aren't sharing with you. Now you got to wonder why your kids aren't coming to you and going, hey, Mom, I got this problem. Can you help me? There's a good possibility that you are not as open-minded as you think you are. I know a lot of parents that when I have them rate themselves in different ways of being, they're scoring themselves off the charts, 80s, 85s, 90s. And I'm like, how can you be 80s? So your overall score in all the different ways of being, loving, caring, compassionate, vulnerable, open, honest, forgiving, we'll go all the way down the chart. Their overall score is a 90%. And I'm like, then how is your kids not opening up to you? How are your kids hiding out in the room and not wanting to share with you? You have to be living in the illusion that that's how you're showing up. I'm not saying that you're not at 95 or 98% when it comes to loving your kid. All I'm asking you is, are you open to that? They're not experiencing the 98%. That you haven't learned how to take that 98 or 100% love you have and actually say it and communicate it and express it in a way that it actually lands on their experience at 100%. See, people don't think about that. Like, I love you more than I love myself. But am I conveying that to you? Are you experiencing that in your own life? Probably not. Because there's still things that I have to master within myself to be able to experience that, so that experience and that projection comes so raw that data lands and it's undeniable. Do your kids undeniably know that you're open-minded? And then when they come to you, that you're always being optimistic, searching for solutions? Or do you have a little bit of digs in there every once in a while? Well, see, if you would have done it this way, or, hey, had you had trusted me, or had you come to me earlier? Sometimes we don't see that we're in there tainting that open-mindedness for them.
Yeah, and you kind of have to be observant, because I know it's really exciting. I know for me, it's really exciting when someone comes to me with an idea or a passion or something, and they're so excited to share. And it's easy when they're like that to be excited and mock their energy and everything too. I have people in my life, I have friends who come to me with something they're passionate about, but they're not saying excited because they want to see what I think first. So they want to see if I'm going to be excited or be like, that's an awesome idea. How can I help?
So they're coming for validation basically
yes,
first.
But they come asking like, oh, what do you think about that? They're not excited yet. So as a parent, it's really important to notice that and then come and be the excitement, because if you mirror their energy and you're like, oh yeah, go ahead if you think that's a good idea, they're not getting, oh, that's a great idea, let's move with this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I had one time a client that they have one of their best friends and coworkers is kind of like their right-hand man or right-hand woman. And that right-hand man or woman is really good at being devil's advocate. You know what devil's advocate is, right? You're always looking to try to find where something could go wrong. Sometimes that helps you when you're brainstorming ideas. And you need those types of people in your life, because you could be the one like ready, excited to jump into a swimming pool, and they're going, hey, tapping you in the shoulder going, there's no water in the pool. You might not want to jump right now. So sometimes we need devil's advocate. But if you have a devil's advocate that's right there when you're getting excited about an idea, you don't necessarily want them to be devil's advocate right now. So it's like, hold your devil's advocate and all your trying to poke the holes in it until after I've gotten excited. So maybe you don't want to go to the devil's advocate friend first. You want to go to the optimistic friends to share those ideas so they can get excited with you and go, yeah, this is awesome. We could do this and we can do that. Then after you've gotten the validation, and then after you've gotten all the teammates that have high-fived you, and 24 hours has passed or a day has passed, then go to your friend and go, hey, I got really excited with my excited friends, my supporting friends, and now I want you to support me in the way that you do best, which is devil's advocate. So now I need you to poke some holes. Tell me what you can see where this plan can go wrong so that I can plug those holes up. Does that make sense? So I had a conversation with devil's advocate and said, when your friend comes to you and is excited, she doesn't need you to be devil's advocate right now. She needs you to be the excited version, the optimistic, the dreamer. She needs you to dream with her and high five her and say, yes, you can. Then let an hour pass. Let 24 hours pass where you can say, hey, I got some great ideas I might want to throw at you tomorrow that you might not have considered. Is that cool? And in all their excitement, they're like, yeah, no problem. But don't kill it for them right out the gate when people have excitement and they're fired up about something, because then you chop your own toes off.
Yeah, especially as a parent, I think it's really, really important, especially with this day and age. That sounds so lame to say, but everything's about being creative right now. Creative thinking, critical thinking, marketing, all that stuff is so important. So when your kids get older, you're going to shut that creativity down at a really young age. And, I read one time that by the 4th grade, if your kids haven't developed those creative thinking and critical thinking skills, there's a really small window for them to open back up.
Yeah. So does this sound familiar? Hey, Mom, I want to play soccer. You play soccer? right? I'm gonna leave you with that. You play soccer? Like, maybe I'm not gonna play soccer. You know, you can kill the spirit of somebody when they're excited just by something you say that you're not even really aware that you're saying.
Yeah. Is that, yeah, okay, we got to take a break. Sorry. I got so into the conversation, I wasn't paying attention, but stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Welcome back to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Today we are talking about being more of an effective listener. I'm sure you have a couple points that you want to get to before we finish, but I have something to say at the end, so I'm gonna hold it.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
So, you know, I kind of went over all the beingness, like going over the different ways of being to be that committed listener. So now I want to talk about some points that came up, some tips, some things, maybe a little bit of the doing. So what I wrote down was use your whole body to communicate, right? So if you use your whole body, what does that look like? It looks like, you know, you're using everything that you have in the ability to express yourself, to communicate to them that you are listening to them, that what they're saying is important. So what it looks like head nodding. So I don't know if you noticed, but earlier when you were talking, I was nodding my head for certain things as an agreement with you. Even something that I don't agree with you, if you're saying it and it's important to you or if it matters to you, I'm going to nod. Why do you think I would nod, even if I don't agree with it?
Just to show that you're listening and paying attention.
Let you know that I hear you. So sometimes a head nod when someone's talking is just letting them know, I hear you, and I'm still with you. Like I haven't checked out. I haven't gone up to my head. It's to let people know that I'm still present in the moment and hanging on to every word. So head nodding is important. Facial expressions. Sometimes you might say something, and let's say it's something really sad. A facial and if you're listening in the car and the radio, you're not going to see this. But if you're on Facebook Live, you get a bonus. Here it is. So when you're saying something and it's, you know, awkward, or it's, you know, it might look like, you know, it's a certain facial expression that communicates. It's universal to the other person, that lets them know, like, wow, you understand what I'm going through, or you feel my pain. And I can't describe it on the radio. It was just more of a, you know, a way that you just do it. Or maybe it's a raise of the eyebrows, like, huh? Right? We raise the eyebrows, like if someone tells you something that's like really wacky or crazy, and you're like, and you want to say wow, but you don't want to interrupt them, you just kind of do the eyebrows like that. That's the way we communicate. So you got to learn how to use all your facial expressions, as well as hand motions and arm gestures. Do all that, you know, to let them know that you're listening. Even like I said before, you know, this is a universe. See how you notice how all I did was put my hand. If you notice, I just put my hand on the table and opened it up. And what did you do?
Put my hand.
It's okay. You can do it again. What this is a universal sign for, and then even like that, it's it's just to let them know. And then something like just holding it or just squeezing a little bit, or a little rock motion lets them know, like, hey, I got you. I got your back. For a father putting his hand on his daughter's shoulder or son's shoulders is a statement to say, like, I got you, don't worry about it, like, you know, I got your back. So using all those things is important. I think you got to be mindful of it and aware.
Yeah, and I think if you're not like that, you're not really an affectionate parent. Even doing it for the first couple times, especially if you have teens, they're gonna be like, what is going on?
What are you doing?
But when they walk away from it, and after all the weird awkwardness, they're going to be like, wow, my dad was really paying attention to me, or wow, my dad really cares about what I had to say this time. You know, so even if you have to go through 2 minutes of the most awkward thing of your whole life, and it's really that terrible, just know that when they're walking away, once they get past their 2 minutes of, wow, that was really awkward, they're going to have some, wow, my dad really cares about me, which in the end is worth it.
Absolutely. The other thing is create a connection with them. Sometimes I think unconsciously we don't realize that we're not creating a connection with our kids. We're talking and we're asking questions, but the connection's not there. How do you create connection? You're going to learn that in my Extraordinary Relationships workshop. And I'm going to teach you how to connect, because I think people don't realize that they're not connecting with the people they say they love the most. The connection is gone, or no one taught us how to connect. So you have to create a connection with your kids. with your energy. Energy's powerful. When you connect energy, like I said, eye contact, when we create eye contact, all of a sudden our energies go, and we just become one, right? So create a connection with your heart, with your love, with your compassion, and your vulnerability. And if you have some insecurities that are getting in the way of you actually learning how to tap into that, you got to go train yourself. You got to go to workshops. You got to learn, discover. You got to learn how to develop that part of you. And you not knowing it or your parents not teaching you is not a good enough excuse, because today's kids, the millennials, they need to feel you. One of my greatest quotes in all time is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is the truth. People need to know that you first care before they start to open up and connect and trust you. And if you don't know how to express yourself in a way that people get that you care, it's pointless. The next thing is listen 85% of the time, talk 15%. So listening 85, you should only be talking 15. And when you are talking, you should be talking by just asking open-ended questions. So here's an example. An open-ended question would sound like, wow, so what are you going to do now? Or how are you going to handle it? Or what do you need from me to support you in this? Or have you thought of a solution, right? Those are open-ended questions that are thought-provoking. 15% should just be open-ended questions. 85% just listening, doing the facial expressions, opening your heart, connecting, doing all that stuff. And then if you're gonna talk without questions, make sure that without the questions that you're doing affirmations or positive affirmations or affirming things like, I know you got this. You know, I've trained you or I've seen you. It's affirming them. And the last thing is, be willing to be uncomfortable. It's part of the process. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable because you guys are being intimate. Being intimate and vulnerable like that is just, uncomfortable comes with it.
My turn. The last minute, I just want to go ahead and go over everything that you talked about and more is going to be covered in the Extraordinary Relationship Workshop.
More importantly, you get to experience it.
Yeah, and I was laughing at the end because I know that you wanted to say something. I know you really wanted to give a golden nugget so people can walk away, but you're like, no, I'm going to save it. So that's why I was laughing. So if you really want to know, sign up for the workshop. You can sign up on Facebook. You can sign up on alexurbina.com. You can even call the station. I'll sign you up.
And by the way, the last show, you said that if someone says they're signing up because of you, then you got to go with her boyfriend. So do me a favor, sign up, and I'll even give you a discount. If you email me, alex@alexurbina.com, I'll give you a discount just to get her to go. But only if you say that you want her to be there and her boyfriend.
Yeah, you got to mention it or else I won't be there. All right, thanks so much for joining us today. If you missed any of the show, go to hometownstation.com, find the podcast, or jump on Facebook Live and send us some comments. Thanks for joining us today. We're here every Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. right here on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.